and welcome back to a new series of the Owen Glendower Model Railway. As this is the first review of the series, I thought it would be an excellent idea to do a double review, starting off with the Hornby Thomas the Tank Engine and the Bachmann Thomas the Tank Engine, as well as including the Annie and Claire Bell from Hornby and Bachmann. This we'll see the differences between both manufacturers, the pros and the cons of either locomotive. This is going to be very interesting. It's time to get up close and personal with these beautiful locomotives. Let's start off looking at the details with the original Hornby Thomas. The details are quite excellent. The look on his face is quite friendly and beautiful, as all the original Hornby Thomas range back in the day quite excellent. Hornby used the E2 model as their base for this Thomas, as the original one was based off of. Considering that the details are still hold up quite well considering how old this model is. And it's a sight to behold. It's still a beautiful model and it's worthy of praise. And now we'll go on to the Bachmann Thomas to see the details and the comparisons. And here are the size comparison between the double gauge Thomas and the HO gauge Thomas. It's clear to see that the Hornby Thomas is a little bit bigger in length and width, a little bit. But in my opinion, the details on the Bachmann Thomas supersede the Hornby Thomas, but it is well known that the Hornby Thomas is more powerful than the Bachmann, but the Bachmann Thomas is still good in its power and its performance. I've had my Bachmann Thomas pull a decent bit of rake, such as rolling stock, wagons, coaches. It's been pretty good, but the Hornby one in the performance aspects, I would believe it is superior. But now it's time to see the differences between the Annie and Claire Bell of both Hornby and Bachmann. And there they are, the Hornby, Annie and Claire Bell. Based off the cheap and easily affordable coaches from Hornby, these Annie and Claire Bell are pretty good on the details, with the faces well represented. The name is presented quite excellently considering how old the model is, as well as the Annie, and the details on her face is very well presented. And for me, these two was my Annie and Claire Bell for a long time, and in my opinion, regardless of how many years I've had them, they'll still be a good sight on my layout. Now onto the Bachmann versions. Speaking of the Bachmann, Annie and Claire Bell, the details on these two coaches are an improvement compared to the original Hornby ones. In defense of the original Hornby coaches, that they were pretty much tooled in the 80s. These were pretty much tooled near enough 10 years ago. But considering that, these coaches are still quite excellently and well represented for the model. The facial details is pretty excellent, and the presentation of the name, Annie and Claire Bell, as well as the details on either face, it's a sight and to behold. But as I had these coaches for a while now, well, the differences between these two and the Hornby versions are quite clear. Unlike the Hornby versions, these can't go around really tight turns on the layout. Unlike the Hornby versions, which could pretty much go anywhere on my layout. These are a little bit more sensitive to sharper turns, but on other parts of the layout, it's still an enjoyable sight. With that said and done, it's time to talk the history about Thomas the Tank Engine. The story of this amazing little tank engine began in 1915, where Thomas was built by the Southern Railway and purchased special order and sent over to Sodor as station pilot, where Thomas's jobs such as setting up coaches for the other bigger engines, as well as shunting the wagons and trucks around the yard, as well as the coaches. He did a pretty good job at this until 1948, where his moment of glory began. In aiding James when he had his pretty serious crash, Thomas had proven to Sir Topham Hatt that he was a really useful engine, and with that he was given Annie and Clarabelle, and as well as that his own branch line, the Farquhar branch line, where he still works there to this day, even despite the fact that he's over 100 years old. And throughout his years on the line, he has had many little accidents being silly, but all the other engines know that Thomas is a kind, friendly engine, and he always likes to prove that he can be a really useful engine. With that said, it's time to take these two beautiful models down to the track to show us all what they are able to do. There they both are ready to show us what they are made of. For this running session, I thought it would be an excellent idea to have both Thomas the Tank Engines accompanied with their loyal coaches, their Annie and Clarabelles. I thought that would be an excellent idea for both locomotives. As well as these two going around the line, we have also the original Hornby E2 locomotive, which was the basis for the Hornby Thomas the Tank Engine. This is going to be a running session which I will, and hopefully everyone else will enjoy. Now, with that said and done, it's time to let these locomotives show us how really useful engines they are. Well, that was a great and memorable running session. In my opinion, these two Thomas the Tank Engine models are both pretty good. Even with the pluses and minuses, I can't pick between the best between them. In my opinion, for the modeler with a budget, the Hornby Thomas is still an excellent model considering how old it is. The Bachmann Thomas is a pretty excellent model, but in my opinion, don't consider it able to haul big loads of trains around the layout. Its weaknesses, in my opinion, is just the strengths of its pulling ability, where the Hornby is more powerful. But if you are happy with the better detail compared to the Hornby version, the Bachmann version is still worth having. And if you have it hauling light trains like small amount of rakes of wagons or Annie and Clarabelle or other coaches, it's do an excellent job. They both are still excellent models and worthy to have. I would recommend both models. It all depends on the individual. And in my opinion, that ends our review on both Thomas the Tank Engines, and I think that was an excellent way to start the new series. If you liked the video, please like and share, subscribe to the Lone Ranger Motoring channel. With that said and done, who knows, we'll be going around the tracks next time. See ya!